is Kenyana. Welcome back to my channel. I don't know if I guys told you already, but I wanted to create a Q&A segment on my channel referring to just different things from mental health, vacation questions, just anything that I could pretty much answer. So this is going to be the first video. Stay tuned. Okay guys, so I asked you guys a few days ago on my Instagram and on my Facebook to give me a few travel questions. If you aren't already following me on Facebook and Instagram, please check it out here. But other than that, let's get into these questions because you guys asked me some pretty good questions. I wanted to make sure for my first video, I wanted to make sure that I did something that I was going to be familiar with. So traveling, if you guys didn't already know, I love to travel, and it kind of sucks because I obviously can't travel right now due to Corona, but typically I travel a lot. So we're going to get into these questions. I got a few questions just kind of going back and forth, just trying to figure out pricing and, you know, different destinations and stuff like that. So if you guys have any questions, I can make a part 2 of this video. Just leave them down below, but I hope this video is helpful, and whenever we can travel again, I hope that we can get back into it easy and breezy. Okay guys, so I had a question just asking about what is my favorite way to travel, and I guess if I had to pick between hotels, resorts, and cruise lines, I would definitely have to choose cruises. I am a fan of cruising. I've been cruising since 2012, and it has just been something that I've loved to do simply because everything kind of comes in it together. You don't have to really worry about any additional things unless you want to do excursions, which I'll get into that a little bit later. But cruising is my go-to vacation. So the next question I have here is going to be, which cruise line is best? I can't say which one is best. The one that I love is Carnival Cruise Lines. That is the only cruise line that I've actually traveled with, so I guess it's a little tilter, but I enjoy Carnival Cruise Line because if you are a beginner traveler, and meaning that you kind of want to save a little bit money but have a great time, and a beginner cruiser, Carnival Cruise Lines is considered the party line. It is just a great time. We've met so many different people on Carnival, and you can take your families, you can just be by yourself, you can, you know, it's just good for any point in life. I believe all the other cruise lines, they kind of cater to different crowds, so I believe, in my opinion, Carnival is the best. Okay, so next question is, when is the best time to travel out of the country? So one thing that I would recommend, I would always look, depending on what part of out of the country you're going to, depending on if it's Asia, if it's Africa, if it's the Middle East, you just want to make sure you check their weather. We have booked trips and gone somewhere and their weather was absolutely horrible. Our honeymoon, we got there and it was rainy season for the country that we were in, and it didn't really damper our trip because we just know how to have fun, but I could see how weather can kind of prohibit you from doing everything that you want to do. So if I were to say the best time to travel, it kind of depends on where you want to go. My favorite place to go is Mexico, so I always like to say the best time to travel is usually during the off season, which is August to October. It's right before the holidays, it's right after the kids go into school, and one, because the weather is usually typically great. It's not too hot. The prices are really decent, and you know, you don't have to worry about crowds of people being there. So next question, are passports necessary? Passports are very necessary when you're traveling out of the country because, one, they just want to make sure that you are a citizen to some type of country, and I'm assuming America. So I purchased my passport right before we got married, and I ended up getting kind of screwed because I didn't get my name changed on my passport, so I can't leave the country until I get my passport renewed. Or, fun fact, if you have a passport in an your maiden name, you can actually book your travel in your maiden name. But if your traveling requires you to have 2 forms of ID, I guess that wouldn't necessarily work. So the next time we're supposed to be traveling, which we were supposed to be going to Asia at the end of the year, I don't believe we're doing that anymore, but before then I was supposed to make sure that I have my passport set up. And then, to be honest with you, it's just really good. I know it costs a little bit, but it's just good to have your passport, because when I received my passport, it took 6 to 8 weeks to come. So if you just get it when you're not actually planning to travel, then you don't have to worry about putting your vacation off. So next question is, are passports necessary for cruises? So cruises are a little weird, which I like, because, and I'm only speaking for Carnival, I'm not sure about the other cruise lines, but you don't need a passport if you are porting from and porting back to the same port. So let's just say if I'm leaving out of New Orleans, as long as the boat comes back to New Orleans, I do not need a passport. So that's the reason why I say cruising is a great route for people that don't have their passports, or they want a quick fun trip. And it's really inexpensive, because one, you don't have to go purchase your passport, and you don't need to you don't have to worry about spending the extra money. But as far as cruising, no, you do not need a passport as long as you are porting from and porting back to the same dock. Now, if you are porting, let's say, perfect example, if we're going from New Orleans and then you end back up in Florida, then yes, you will need a passport, because I'm not sure what the regulations are, but that's just what they require. So if you guys have any questions, or if that really didn't make sense, please leave it down below. Okay, so next question, should you pack light or should you pack heavy when traveling? I'm a fashionista, so I have a really hard time with packing. Everywhere I go, I overpack, but the answer to the question, I would definitely pack medium-ish, simply because you want to make sure you have enough outfits just so you can stunt on the gram, but then at the same time, just in case weather changes up, I always will say make sure you take a good pair of pants, and even if it's going to be a sunny location, make sure you take a pair of pants and a light jacket. So a medium-sized carry-on is a great size for a week-long vacation. You can kind of fold your clothes up. You don't need to take tons of bags, because once again, especially if you're traveling internationally, you will rack up baggage fee charges, and nobody wants to do that. So if I were you, I would just pack light to medium. So let's just call it medium. A question as far as, I guess, traveling, because I mentioned to you guys that I was a military kid, so somebody wanted to know, what states have you lived in the US? Michigan, Texas, Alabama, and North Carolina, and then kind of lived in Georgia, but not really. So those are the states that I have lived in. Okay, so next question is, someone wanted to know, what is my favorite way to book travel? So usually I like to book my own travel. I do have a travel agent. My mother-in-law has her travel license, and my aunt has her travel license. So if you guys need anybody that can possibly book travel for you, please reach out to me, because I do have resources within my family. But typically I just kind of book my own stuff. If it's not within the family, I'm going to try to start using them, because they say they know how to do it a little bit better than me. So we'll see how that works out in the future. But back to the question, what is my favorite way to book my own travel? Typically what I do is, if I'm booking flights, I typically go exactly on that website. I like going directly through the website, because I typically book within a certain amount of time, that I know when the deals are going to hit. I know when the costs are the cheapest. So I book everything myself. For hotels, I use hotels.com, simply because if anything gets canceled or if something goes away, I can get my money back as long as it's within 24 hours of me arriving to the facility. And then also hotels.com allows you to rack up points, so you get free free nights. Like for instance, right now I have a free night, but since we're stuck in Corona, nobody will be staying in hotels anytime soon. So I like using hotels.com. I've not experienced with Expedia, not experienced with TripAdvisor, but I do use those websites if I ever want to find different excursions within cities. So I use a plethora of different websites to book my travel. Okay, so oh yeah, and I also wanted to say, even with booking travel for cruises, I book my own travel for cruises. I don't use a cruise travel agent. Some people think that you need that. If you feel more comfortable doing that, you can, but I feel very confident in being able to find the lowest prices. So if y'all ever need help finding any travel, just come let me know. I'll help you out because I typically know how to find really good prices. So next thing they were asking is, what is my favorite airline? Favorite airline by far, you guys should already know, is Southwest, bar none. That is literally my favorite airline. That's it. What is my favorite thing to do when I go out of the country? I actually love going to tropical places. I can't swim a lick, but I love being in the water. So I love just getting in my swimsuit, sunbathing. That's just my type of thing. They're just really fun. So next question is, someone asked, how do I afford to go on so many trips? So me and my husband, like I mentioned to you before, I do all of our travel finances, if that makes sense. My husband kind of just tells me how much money we have towards a trip, and then I'll kind of go from there. Or vice versa, I'll tell him, hey babe, this is how much the trip is, and then he'll figure out the payment plans. So, but the way I go on trips often is because I travel during the off season. Off season typically is August to October. It's before holidays, right after the kids get out of school. This is usually the cheapest time to travel within the States and Mexico. And then I also make sure that I like to plan everything out in advance. I like using cruises because I can make payment plans. Yeah, a trip let's just say we're just going off bet. So a trip may be $800, right? There's no way I'm giving somebody $800 off rip. I just can't do it. I can't give somebody $800, but I sure can pay $10 80 times. I don't know why. I just like having payment plans. So that's one thing. I like to kind of split it up. So my husband knows that. So typically what he'll do is say, hey, how much is the trip? And then he'll just say, hey, we're putting this. Like, he'll make his own payment plan, and then we'll give all the money. I don't know. So payment plans are my big thing. Okay. So someone asked, let's see. So someone asked, where have I been? That's too many places, so I'm gonna just kind of knock it down to my top 5 places. One is Belize, Mexico, Vegas, Boston, and New Orleans. Those are my top 5. So last question is, what trips did you have planned this year? So I said that in past tense because ain't nobody going nowhere this year, but we'll see. I had in March, I was supposed to be going to Miami. In June, I was supposed to be going to New York. In November, I was supposed to be going to Tokyo. Those were the only trips we had planned, and I think all of them are canceled. I for sure know the first 2 are canceled, and then Boston was in January, so we were able to successfully go to Boston. But other than that, I only had 3 trips planned, and that's pretty much it. Okay guys, thanks for coming to this video. I really appreciate you guys for asking all those questions. I am a travel fiend, love traveling. That is my escape. I am really excited for this year to end with the quickness because I just need Corona to be over. Not saying that time is gonna make it be over, but that's here nor there. I'm just appreciative that you guys came to watch this video with me. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it wasn't too long, but make sure to follow me on social media here and here. Please make sure that you are engaging with me because I love you guys. Make sure if you like this video, send it to your friends, do whatever you got to do. Make sure to come back for the next one, and I'm out.